Sometimes you see these complex legal battles playing out, especially with public figures, and it's hard to get a real sense of what's going on. So today, we're doing just that. We're taking a closer look at one individual facing, significant challenges. Our focus is on former Trump lawyer John Eastman. We're looking at his public stance, specifically how he's responding to indictments and efforts to disbar him. And we're using a particular source for this, an interview he gave on Epoch TV's American Thought Leaders, dated July 3rd, 2025. So, okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into his current situation, maybe we should establish who John Eastman actually is, based on what the interview tells us, because his background is pretty relevant here.
Oh, absolutely. It's quite a background. The source details, for instance, that he was the founding director of the Claremont Institute Center for Constitutional Jurisprudence.
Okay.
And a former law professor at Chapman University's law school. Plus, and this is quite notable, he clerked for Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas back in the 90s.
Right, a Supreme Court clerkship. That's significant.
Very. And the source also mentions he's represented, I think it said, over a dozen individuals before the Supreme Court itself. So deep constitutional law experience.
Okay, so that sets the stage. Now, this interview, what does it actually reveal about how he's handling things now? The source says he's opening up about it all.
Yeah, that's the core of it. The interview really highlights his position. He's apparently stated very clearly that he's, quote, not backing down.
Not backing down.
Right, but it's more than just defiance. What's fascinating here, according to the source, is how he frames it. He seems to be drawing on all that constitutional scholarship we just talked about.
So how does that work? I mean, how does a distinguished legal background translate into facing these kinds of serious charges and potential disbarment?
Well, the interview suggests he sees these challenges not just as personal attacks, but as almost a test case for certain constitutional principles. He's framing his fight as a defense of specific legal interpretations he holds.
Okay, let's clarify that a bit for everyone listening. We're talking about indictments widely reported as linked to his advice after the 2020 election.
Correct.
And these disbarment efforts, which could mean losing his license to practice law entirely.
Yeah.
So what specific arguments, according to this Epoch TV interview, does he use to justify this firm stance?
The interview gives us a pretty clear window. He apparently discussed his view on the vice president's role on January 6th regarding electoral vote certification on the Electoral Count Act.
Okay.
Essentially, he seems to view the charges against him as an attempt to, criminalize legal viewpoints. Viewpoints that are controversial, yes, but which he argues have some basis in historical constitutional debate.
And the disbarment?
Similar reasoning, it seems. He reportedly called the proceedings an overreach, arguing it challenges the ability to defend unpopular legal ideas, especially, in today's political climate. It sounds like a very direct statement of his intent not to concede on these points.
Right. So just to recap for you listening, we've looked at John Eastman's extensive legal background, founding director, professor, SCOTUS clerk, and then focused on how this recent interview portrays his response to current legal battles. He's not backing down, framing it as a defense of core constitutional ideas.
Exactly. And it really leaves you with a significant question to think about.
Which is?
Well, what does it really take for someone like John Eastman with that kind of deep legal and constitutional background to maintain such a resolute stance when facing these really profound legal and professional consequences? How much of that comes down to deeply held beliefs?
That's a powerful thought. Thinking about the resilience, the conviction involved when someone is in that kind of high-stakes fight, especially when they see it through a specific constitutional framework, something to definitely reflect on.